All right, guys, I got another video for us to watch and react to called Don't Believe the Things You Hear About Diablo 4. I'm excited to see what they're going to say and what things we should be hearing about Diablo 4 and what we shouldn't be believing, and give sort of my take on it. This is a relatively short video, so we should be able to get through it pretty quick. So we'll go ahead and get started.
All eyes have been on Diablo 4 the last couple weeks. The latest installment of the popular dungeon crawler comes out in June, but with the previous early access weekend being a huge hit with over 1 million players, reviews and gameplay footage are exploding across all social media platforms. It seems like the most common problem we've encountered so far is that people are going to be upset when they can't actually play anymore after this upcoming open beta weekend. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen,
I mean, that's true. There's definitely been a lot of sort of hype and engagement around the beta and around the game in general. So I think a lot of people are eager to get their eyes and hands on anything that sort of involves Diablo 4. I do think after the beta comes out, after the beta weekend this weekend sort of subsides, there's going to be a lot of people just clinging for anything, myself included, related to the game up until its release in June.
Diablo 4 has been in a state of dispute since the mere statement of it being developed. Most people are merely undecided with the game and how they view it at this point.
A lot of that isn't because of the game. I'm pretty sure a lot of that is just based on a lot of fear-mongering around predatory monetization practices that aren't even in the game. I feel like it's less to do with the game, the state of the game, how the game's going to launch, and the content within the game, and most of it has just been around the fear of monetization.
Now, I do think everyone deserves the right to be a skeptic after Blizzard's crazy monetization across all their platforms the last few years, but I know what...
See, even before I knew exactly what was going to come out before it was even brought up. I understand that there have been crazy monetization practices. Be skeptical if you want, but if a company's already taken a stance or a game has already taken a stance that they're not going to do it, you just have to wait.
At the end of the day, everybody wants a great Diablo game.
That's true. That is true, though. I mean, everybody wants a good or a great Diablo game, and that's really all anybody cares about at this point.
It's okay to be skeptical because for a very long time, I was too with just about everything that is Blizzard the last couple years. But instead of being fed a direct review from countless YouTubers and Reddit pages, right now is the perfect time for you to test it out and formulate a real opinion for yourself. Diablo 4 has really been this...
All right, so you can test it out in the beta, but the beta isn't a marketing beta for you to get in and try all the content and really formulate that big of an opinion on it. This beta is more to just stress test the game and the servers and make sure everything's working right. You will get a glimpse of the game, but I would very much caution anybody on reviewing a game, or at least like making their opinions on a game based on just early beta footage that is not even all the way through leveling. It's not like this is a full unadulterated beta where you get access to all systems over the course of a week. You don't. Honestly, if they turn around now and say there isn't any monetization except for they'll suffer backlash, oh yeah, for sure. I think at the point that they're at, they pretty much just have to stay the course on. It's just going to be cosmetics.
The center focus of my life for a few months now, soaking up all information through Wowhead, news articles, and cramming through footage frame by frame to somehow squeeze experiences out of it because I never actually been able to get my hands on it. The craziest thing about it is that the developers released a couch co-op gaming session a day before the early access beta was launched, and the game looked surprisingly poor and looked completely different to anything I've seen in the past for honestly reasons that I still couldn't answer. And for the first time...
It's because they're playing an internal build. They're playing an internal build, and what you're playing in the beta is what is called a stable version. It is not out of the ordinary for games and game developers to have multiple iterations of the same game. And that is because they are at different levels of development and different levels of backup. Some of them are more polished. Some of them are people working more on UI. Some of them are hardcore coding. And there's a lot of different sort of stages in game development happening at all times. So to see maybe the couch co-op look a little bit different than what was released to us as like a beta stable version isn't really that jarring. It might be jarring to some people that don't really understand. And that's why sometimes, like, when games ship, they'll say, oh, we shipped the wrong version of the game, or they'll patch it, and when they patch it, all of a sudden they'll patch in a lot of bugs. And everybody goes, well, how did you patch in a bunch of bugs? Well, they were working on the most stable version of the game, which might not have been the exact same version as what was released. Okay? So then when they release the game, they fix all the bugs, they go back, they make an update off of the most previous stable version, and they might have missed a couple of bugs that had already been squashed when they go to re-release the patch. And that's normally the way it works, is you dev on a stable version, and that's normally a version or two behind what's currently out or what's currently released, and it can make it very easy for that kind of thing to happen. So while it might have been jarring to see, you know, one style of gameplay the day before the game came out, and then you get your hands on something that looks different, it's not really unheard of, and there are reasons for that.
I was actually scared for this game overall, and even the comments section did not make it easier for me, with people just hammering in the final nail in the coffin as it's going to be a seemingly waste of time, dead game, Diablo Immortal remake. So I really knew I had to play it for myself to give my final opinion on it. Everyone has an incredibly vast array of enjoying video games. Some players love to collect, others like to min-max and do the hardest content possible, and some people just love to enjoy the game for what it is. What better time to make your own judgment rather than on a beloved and incredible title like Diablo, in an absolutely no strings attached, free opportunity like this weekend.
So the video titles Don't Believe All the Things You Hear About Diablo 4, and I'm assuming that is to insinuate that don't believe what you hear, go try it out in the beta. Which is definitely a good tip, but I still would caution anyone 100% that don't make all of your inferences from a beta. The beta is just there to test systems, and if you're really that far on the fence, try out the beta, but just know things will probably be different in the full experience. And we haven't seen the end game and what the seasons and all that kind of stuff look like.
The open beta is available to everyone starting Friday, March 24th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard and ends on March 27th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard. This gives you nearly a 4-day access to the first act of Diablo 4. And let me tell you, this demo is absolutely slammed with content. Through the early access weekend, you'll be exploring the game's prologue, and players can level up to level 25 however they'd like. Diablo 4's leveling progression is non-linear. The way in which you level and progress every character can be vastly different than the rest. Want to strictly farm dungeons, or just do open world quests, explore and collect, or farm mobs out in the open world, main story quests?
Yeah, I mean, you can level however you want. I mean, I feel like that is standard in a lot of games, but I understand the point that they're trying to drive home.
Side quest, whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it in any way of progression you actually want. For the open beta, players will have access to all 5 classes.
And it's really hard to try to quantify. There's a lot that you have access to in the open beta. There's a lot that anyone has access to in the beta. However, it's just enough to sort of familiarize yourself with the systems and the graphics in the world and the user interface and the gameplay. But it's not enough to make you sort of understand on if it's something you want to sink your time into long term. And I'm trying to say that is it like an even keel sort of blanket statement. I'm not telling you not to make an inference and decide that you want to play the game, or if you're on the fence that the beta won't push you one way or the other. But I'm just cautioning you to remember that it's still a beta and it's such early content. Oh, but you do? But do you?
The rogue, barbarian, sorcerer, and now the druid and necromancer. You'll be able to customize your character to your choosing from hair, gender, and tattoos, and set out to start your temporary journey in the world of Sanctuary. You're going to be progressing through the Fracture Peak zone and diving straight into the rich main storyline of pursuing and trying to kill Lilith, which consists of multiple acts. In doing so, you'll have access to loads of side quests through Shattered Peaks, some great exploring, and even being on the lookout for a wide variety of open world group events. And if you're lucky, maybe a treasure goblin stashed with loads of rare.
There would, yeah, I'll be honest, and I know it's like super early game on the treasure goblins, but I've killed a handful of them, and I was very unimpressed with like the quality of loot they drop compared to what they do in D3.
There are 23 total dungeons you can explore, each with randomized maps and objectives, as well as an end boss inside that for sure leaves you with an incredibly difficult challenge. But if you slay them, however, you're left with the spoils that they drop all to yourself. And all this content is amazing, don't get me wrong, but my personal absolute...
Yeah, you only found one and he dropped fuck all. Exactly. Like, they didn't drop that much.
Favorite highlight so far has been fighting the world boss, Ashava. This is a massive event that allows up to 12 players to get together to attempt to take down the hardest boss available to us at this time.
I'll be very honest too, like the world boss is very fun, and it's definitely a challenge your first time. If you get unlucky and you get paired up with a lot of low-level people, you're going to have a hard time taking it down. If there's 12 level 25s, you guys will probably take it down in a reasonable amount of time.
The experience I had was easily one of the best I've ever had in a video game, and I can only hope you can feel half of what I felt after defeating it with less than a half second left on the timer. As you play the Diablo 4 during open beta, you can also collect 3 open beta exclusive rewards, and players who unlock these rewards will receive them once Diablo 4 launches.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to say about this.
These rewards include 2 different titles.
They're easy enough to get. All you gotta do is get to level 20. It's nothing too bad. They'll be fun to have in the beginning, and it'll be like a nice sort of thing to show you were there for the beta. But I have a really good feeling for a lot of it. It's just going to be a collection item that you can kind of show off over time, but eventually just finds its way into some dusty corner of your unused sort of titles and cosmetics.
And even a beta Wolfpack cosmetic item. Listen, the time is now, ladies and gentlemen. The time to try something out that's new for absolutely free. The opportunity for you to go out there and formulate your own opinion based off your initial experience for yourself. Am I saying the game is absolutely perfect? No, but I mean, what game really is? What I know for a fact is that this is a game I've had strong feelings about, and feelings I haven't felt in a video game for an incredibly long time.
So I've enjoyed the time I've spent in the beta, and I'm a seasoned gamer. I've played a lot of games over a lot of years, probably over 33 years. I've played a lot of games, and it's sort of hard to find a game or find anything that you just kind of makes you enjoy yourself or fills that like gap or that void and brings that spark back. Right now, I'm hopeful that Diablo 4 is going to do that for me to kind of fill in that looter style game and give me something that I can do for a long term, and help other people out along their journey. That's what I'm hopeful for, and I have a lot of hope that this game is going to do that for me. And for some of you, I think you're probably looking for something similar, maybe something with a little bit of nostalgia, maybe that ARPG style, trigger something that you remember from, in the past when you used to play games. And then the loot style and the grind and the chase, and maybe that's what you're looking for. So I'm hopeful. You guys should be hopeful. There's a lot of really good things on the horizon with this game. But I just caution you to curb your expectations on the beta, even though the beta is excellent, and what the beta means for the full game. Because you're just at the leveling point of the game. It's like playing through a tutorial, saying it's the best game in the world, and then getting the full game and the tutorial was the best part. So just keep that in mind.
And as long as they don't make it pay to win somehow, I'll be sticking out in Sanctuary for a very long time. I regret playing the Diablo 4 beta because somehow I'm going to have to figure out how to survive in the real world that seems grimmer than Sanctuary at this point for 2 months without this game. So I guess it's back to just watching lore videos in the D2R waiting room. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we have so much content coming up for you all in the next few weeks. We have live...
So, I mean, ultimately, we kind of watched the video together. Don't believe the things you're hearing about Diablo 4. I think that's a fair statement. You need to spend the time with it and sort of decide for yourself. The open beta is a great way to start that, but you need to wait until June and play the full game before you really solidify your opinion one way or the other. So play the beta, enjoy the beta, and then be like the rest of us and try to figure out how you're going to survive until the real game comes out in June. You going to make it, Lamia? I'm going to struggle. I know that. We'll get there together. We'll just keep playing Diablo 3 until Diablo 4 comes out. But guys, that is it for this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, have a great day.